What's good with the YouTube Real Talk with Flacco, coming live and direct. And on this platform, what do? We dive into sensitive issues, delicate matters concerning prison, gangs, community, recidivism, as well as addiction. As you can tell by the thumbnail, man, the title of this topic, we're going to get straight to it, man. We're going to talk about a removal I had the sanctioning order back in November. No, what year was it? 2006 in DVI, Dual Vocational Institute, Tracy. And this removal was based upon a soldado, a Nuestra Raza member that had been one for years. Let me take you back to a little bit. So in 2006, I ended up at DVI. I went from Santa Rita, the whole, to where I kind of established things over there a little bit at that time. I talk about the situation with the ex-city councilman's son, who I put on partially clearance, pending investigation from higher authority to see what they wanted me to do with that, if we could exploit it. So I get to DVI. First of all, I'm put in this overflow section of DVI. Never been there before. And I get got at about moving to cells, right? Into an overflow section for temporary. And this is what they used to do. So I get moved. They ask me, hey, we got this guy that's an inmate, do you want to move into a cell with him? And I'm like, I got no problem. I'll take any cell. They go, but he's black. I said, I don't care. So I ended up moving in with an individual named Casper from Stockton, from Triple L's, I believe it was, man. OG, man. Cool ass cat, man. Little cattish a little bit, man. Old timer, man. But he was a homeboy. He was like, let me say, he acted like an Africano, but he was a homeboy, old school, man. Anyway, so eventually I wiggle. I get over there to K-Wing, and I find out a little bit what's going on. There's not that many insoldados there. There's actually my cellie, actually, that from the county jail as a kid, was on the yard at that time. Victor Amador Gallo. Started chopping up with him, and first thing I was able to recognize that there was no one really there with rank or file or status at this facility. Now the other section, they had one individual who was allegedly in charge, and his status wasn't even valid. It had been revoked. And he was still trying to maintain that he had status and stuff, you know what I mean? But I'm just there, and I'm trying to do my homework, and I'm doing all the little, as long as there's not no breach of laws too severe, which there potentially was one, I can maintain it. There was a removal that was based upon just a letter that came from some dude that just left to Corcoran, where the dude just said he's no good, didn't give no validation as far as who it was, anything. You didn't know if the dude locked it up or anything. You know what I'm saying? It could have been personal or whatnot. So eventually I ended up taking over. Okay, and at this time, man, I noticed everything is sloppy. There's no, I had to restructure the whole facility, man. And I've ran prisons before, and I've ran county jails before, so I was already familiarized with what I needed to do. And so that was my first implementation, was to reestablish every code out there on the reception side, and to get these guys to report on a weekly basis. And I wanted everybody's status. I wanted to know at that facility. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a lot of stuff going on. I wanted that, and I wanted everybody that was not acknowledging Bond 13, because therefore I was going to enforce the law there at that facility. And anybody with any pending issues, I needed to know who was there, so I could do my cross-reference, my cross-checks to see if there was anybody that had to be under investigation, freeze, or whatnot. And I instantly communicated with the Bay, instantly communicated with the streets, and let them know that I was the one that was the authority in charge there. So I had a vecino, long-time NR member, named Ernesto Chino Perry. The individual is no punk, okay? The dude is with the action. He's been an NR member since, I believe, around 1990, possibly, I believe, 1990. He was on the integrated yards, put in work, been around a lot of numerous C's, was around Tibbs, was around Copas, was around different individuals during his time era. But the individual had an addiction issue. I found out through a couple of people that were on the yard, and you could tell by his actions, you know what I mean? He would kind of cat out a little bit at first, you know what I'm saying? And, one of the things that happened on the yard one time is that down in the K-Wing, the first floor, L1, was nothing but the SMYs. And right next to our yards, and over there, everybody knows that the windows are kind of open over there, so they could talk and yell and throw shit at us, right? So he would be walking around the yard, and stuff. And they'd be talking shit to him. He'd have this stupid grin on his face and stuff. And just, you know what I mean? And they started throwing like piss and water on him. It landed on his fucking elbow. He starts looking at them. He starts looking at all crazy and shit. I'm like, man, this dude's not all there in the head, man. And so I kind of went and got at him. You know what I'm saying? And explained to him like, hey, bro, like, regardless, we can't entice these PCs over there or acknowledge them. Because he kind of started fighting with a couple more, fucking yelling at him literally on the fucking yard. And I was like, man, I knew this dude's background history. I knew he'd been putting in a lot of work. I knew that these actions were unbecoming of an soldado as well, though. So we get back. Now, this dude's supposed to parole very shortly. Okay? So there was other things that he said on the yard that day, like he doesn't care. Like he said something like he doesn't care. He knows how to get a piece and bring out to the yard if he felt threatened. That's basically a threat to the whole yard when he made that comment. You know what I'm saying? And he was just speaking in generalized terms, but it could be taken for what it is. You know what I'm saying? So we get over there in the after our shutdown period, which everybody knows we're shut down till about 2:00. First thing we do, DTRs are forwarded. Now he did not know I was the AIC because I didn't put myself out there at that time. Okay. So what ended up happening is there was next to him was an individual named Jesse Turner, who was a validated NLR member out of Tracy. Okay. Jesse was really a cool guy. He had a lot of affiliations with homeboys out there in the streets. You know, been in and out the system, been to the shoe, knows how to conduct himself, you know. Always very respectful. You know what I'm saying? Not one of those whites that had any type of hate or dislike towards North Daniel. Just one of those dudes that fell under his politics. So he used to play around with his neighbor who was a Pomo native. They called him Pomo. And they actually went to yard together. And he used to talk about joke around how he thought George Bush was the best president and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, Pomo would be laughing at him. And you hear the conversation. It'd be comical down there, right? And finally, fucking Chino, who was using the term name Tigre, says, man, Jesse, you know about that motherfucker. He goes, if fucking George Bush was on your fucking 1 yard, he goes, every white boy would have his dick up in his fucking mouth. I'm like, wow. He just came at the homeboy sideways. He came at him sideways and shit. You mean? He goes, basically told him, you know, I was on those integrated yards. I was out there getting off with you guys, you know. Whoa, I fought hella skinheads, and he's just on the fucking tier. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, his actions started to escalate. He's disrespecting the dude. And I'm like, bro, you can't be doing that. He says, be a crazy ass fucking kite. He goes, I can do whatever I want. He goes, in fact, I'm going to strip you of fucking your status. I'm like, this dude, what did you just sit there and say? I said, oh my God, who the fuck does this dude think he is, man? I sent it down to my RA, and we were already getting tired of his antics a little bit. But his past was giving him a little bit of the benefit there to, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of was ignoring him, you know what I'm saying? And so what ended up happening was, I remember a correction officer came by. He was hella cool, and he stopped him. And he fucking, all you can hear is, I know what you're doing to me. You're playing with the fucking you're playing with radio waves. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? You know what I'm saying? Then he writes a kite, right? And he signs it. He talks about that he was in fucking Corcoran's shoe back in the days, and they got a pirate station, and that they heard that that there was using the HARP program, HARP, that they're using low radio frequency waves to play with people. And he wrote this whole fucking long-ass fucking spill, and he signed it Bioaf Agate, whatever, which is a famous unknown person, right? He forwards it to the whole fucking tier. Everybody, the white boys included. The shit gets back to me, everybody's looking at him like, what the fuck's wrong with this dude? You know what I mean? Then again, he sends a kite to Jesse Turner, right? And tells him fucking, you know what, you can see me on the streets, you're nothing but a pussy 1-yarder. Okay, now this has gone a little too far, man. He's done all these acts. He's starting to bring a peace out there to the streets and whoa. So, me knowing, I have enough grounds to have this fucking dude hit. I could have this dude's fucking blood spilled, and it wouldn't have came back. Once I touched down and everything I had, there'd be no fucking issues with anybody about making that decision. But I'm a fair and just guy. I know that this dude's about to go home, and at that time, through one of the brothers out there. But we didn't know, luckily, at this time. One of the brothers had a contact with Peanut, Charlie Oaks at that time in Stockton. So, who this dude always used to look up to, you know what I mean? Kind of respected. Didn't look up to, but respected, man. And it was said that a lot of the brothers out there were taking care of him at times when he was doing bad out there in the streets and stuff. And there's some other things that he was going through, man. So, I elected. I said, look, I said, you know what, man? There was one homeboy that owed frontline status, and there was another RA there. My RA was I was pulling as an soldado at that time. So he gets at me, and he says, you know what? He goes, fucking. He goes, if this dude has to go, I'm ready to do it. He was fucking pissed off at this bullshit. He tried to come at him sideways too, because that's who he was channeling through. You know what I'm saying? And I said, you know what? I go, we're gonna physically remove this dude off the yard, even though he has to go home. He's going home in 2 days or 3 days. I go, he has to be removed. He's a threat to the household. I go, but the reason why I'm having him physically removed is I'm gonna give him his further due process, because apparently he's not gonna listen to anything we have to say here. We'll forward this out there to the guys, to the streets. We'll have fucking Peanut run this investigation and just make a decision based upon this. But that there's no way it's going to be any backlash for me having them removed. And so, but I said, we're going to physically do it. I said, he just needs to get off our yard. You know what I'm saying? Because normally removal has to be done with a peace. If it's fully sanctioned, off top, straight breach of violation, you hit the fucking dude. Now, everything he did was in violation, but it was his past credibility and what he's put forth. And maybe that there were some mental issues going on or problems that we did not know that elected me to decide to move him physically. Therefore, it didn't become too personal, because me and him really didn't see eye to eye too well. You know what I'm saying? So I figured, okay, if it becomes physical, it doesn't show that there's any fucking vindictiveness or so forth, man. So we go to yard, and this shit gets crazy, guys. So I'm on the yard. We don't know what time we're going to do the removal. I fucking told him. I told my RA, fucking deal with it. Which means get at the YS and you guys fucking, you know what I mean? You guys just fucking handle it. He got to go. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to fucking coordinate how you got to do it. You have to do it. Just make sure it's done with safety precautions. You know what I mean? Which eventually I ended up getting into it with the BGF a little bit over there. So after we do, everybody knows, after we do our fucking, the first thing on DVI on the assay yard is we go into a group. We discuss morning DTRs. What movements did we see? What new arrivals? Anything. You know what I'm saying? Then we open it up, hey, you know what I mean? And so after they're going, and the two homeboys are supposed to remove him are talking to him. And fucking, he's asking homeboy about how he did his shoes, right? The homeboy's asking fucking Chino how he does his shoes. The homeboy Rascal from fucking Stockton. So homeboy gets down on one knee and starts to show him. And homeboy looked at me like this, like with big eyes. I just went like that, go ahead. Bye, he just kicks him in the face. It kicked off. Now this homeboy had hands. And the two homeboys that were on him, we didn't have a lot of big manpower there at this time, man. We had a lot of little homeboys. And we're not that deep on that side of the yard. So it starts cracking off, right? And this is where I could have almost got in trouble over this issue, but there was no other way to deal with it. People reacted on it. You know what I'm saying? Because he got up and started chunking them. Bam, one person jumped in, and then I even jumped in and started taking off on dude. Boom, boom, boom. Eventually, the yard gets slammed down. He's busted up. You know what I'm saying? They bring out everything. I think they shot the gun off one time or twice. But I jumped in and I jumped out and stuff, which twice. I came in and socked him up and then came back and I jumped in again. Boom, boom. Because that's how it was, because he was fighting. And then they end up, I think, riding up 115s for fucking 5 or 6 of us on the fucking yard. You know what I'm saying? And that was just my eye observation. Now, they had cameras on the yard at that time, and this was done in the blind spot, and it came into the neutral. And I actually beat this 115, because the second time when I was going to jump in, I stopped. And it shows me running like that, stopping, because it was already done. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't supposed to get involved, but fucking it just got out of hand a little bit, man. And I think that was a... You know, people, you have to have been there to see how it gone down. I mean, we did not have the right manpower to execute it, but they ended up getting them, though. So I think there was like 3 people who got found guilty of 115 and got taken off yard. Well, almost everybody got taken off yard, but a lot of us got to get back out there. I beat the 115 when I went to my hearing. But at that time, man, he ends up paroling 2 days later. And see, so the whole thing about it was with this thing was I had to set the precedent for the household that this wasn't going to be tolerated. I had to let other races know that we're not going to tolerate this with our people, disrespecting other races. Just none of that's going to come into play, because those type of actions could easily kick off terror warfare. You know what I'm saying? motherfuckers may feel offended, start spearing each other. And so I have my duty to secure the household, as well as his threat to bring a piece to the yard, his threat towards me, you know what I'm saying? His straight fucking abusing, trying to abuse any type of rank and file he had, which he had none over me. And so the decision was made. So about a week later, we get a whole fucking, about 3 or 4 dudes that have been going to DVI, K-Wing for fucking years. You know what I'm saying? One of them just paroled from fucking corporate shoe. They were sold up with Sombras. Other homeboy been a long time NR member since like first wave. Chuco from Stockton. What's his name? Travieso from fucking Modesto. And another Vato from fucking Sunnyvale. Now these dudes have been going that yard for a minute. Working hand in hand with C's. Now, did they know me? Yes, they did. But there was little bit of fucking, how you say it? At first, there was a little bit of standoffishness because I'm not from that prison. I usually go to San Quentin. I'm from the Bay. And here I am pulling ranking authority at this facility. And so I'm getting kites for both of them, Travieso and fucking Chuco. And like, oh, well, we don't know about this remove that you did on Chino, and we think that you need to be under investigation. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, check this out, bro. I go, none of you guys have any authority here to fucking put me under investigation. None of you vatos do. You know what I'm saying? So pump your fucking brakes. You guys ain't been here. You didn't see what happened. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this for a minute, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just as long as any of you guys, I've held numerous positions, higher positions than any of you guys have held. So don't come in here because this is your backyard and expect me to fucking back down because you don't like it because your homeboy got removed. Your homeboy fucking J-catted out, and this is why it fucking happened. You know what I mean? And they're like, okay. I go, you know what? Let me restructure this prison real quick, and let me get this shit up to fucking par. Because when I got here, I fucking inherited the mess. That's my responsibility, and you know what? I don't need this. I'll let one of you guys take over the position as soon as I establish this prison real quick. Enough said. And then they just backed off it. And so luckily, there were some homeboys there too that knew me, that didn't know I was the AIC. As soon as they found out, when I ran into Hoodlum from Sacra, Top from Vallejo, they're like, oh fuck, Flacco's here, it's all good. And so, what ended up happening is the same dude that we had removed, right? You know what I'm saying? After all this little fucking conflict and shit, man, because I had a lot of things to deal with there, man. I think within the fucking I fucking restructured that whole prison. As far as within my career, I could sit there and say that probably this was one of the most impactful places I was able to have leave my trademark on. You know what I'm saying? Because everything was fucked up there for a long time. I restructured everything. Everything was in sync. We went to war out there on the reception side. Everybody was reporting, and everything was fucking up to accordance to what it was supposed to be. There was nobody out there that was claiming to be an insole that wasn't an insole. There was nobody out there trying to say that there were a C that was coming in that wasn't a C. Everything I had was fucking in line and with fucking the higher command as well. Everything was properly reported. You know what I mean? All bond 13 violations, all frontline status, all those who laid it down, all partial B&Ls were updated, all rosters. Everything was fucking on top. I was on top of my game like I always am. And having to deal with all these. So finally, about a week after this issue happened with Chino, he gets out. He comes back a week later. Guess what his paperwork says? Because it says that he was in there for making bomb threats to the Manteca Police Department. That someone called 911 from his address and said that they had a bomb and they were going to blow up the Manteca Police Department. And then when they showed up to his house, he came out, he had a knife, he threw the knife, and then he walked back in the house. So the homeboys were like, what the fuck's going on with this dude? I said, he probably got a bad batch out there in the streets. You know, simple as that. So, he's on the same pier, and fucking I get him. I go, I check him on the thing. I go, we had to do what you had to do. And he just fucking said some crazy ass fucking kite to me and shit, man. That was kind of irrelevant. I'm like, oh. I showed Chuco and he goes, man, you weren't lying, bro. All them vatos apologized to me. They tried to fucking take a stance. They all apologized to me. You know what I'm saying? Every one of them. I had Travieso run the investigation. He got moved from the side he was in because we removed him to the other side. Travieso ran a fucking investigation. He wrote the questions out and had homeboy answer him. That's when he started talking about he's on the HART program and any B or C knows about this heart program, and that they're using low radio frequency waves and all kinds of crazy shit. And fucking Travieso's like, dude, this dude's fucking a wash. He goes, man, my bad, bro. I just known this dude for a long time, and he's always been solid. He's been very helpful and impactful in my career. I go, I get that, bro, but like, if you know anything about me, bro, I'm not gonna make a choice or decision just based upon fucking that me and the dude don't like each other. I go, this dude was a threat to the household, bro. He can't be doing this, period. The law's gonna supersede anybody's personal feelings about anything I said. And he goes, you're right. You know what I mean? I had enough grounds to have this dude fucking whacked, and his career would have been done. You know what I'm saying? And the kind of ties that I had, it would have probably been honored. They probably would have had a long process to go through if he was ever to get any clearance. But I didn't do that. I gave him the opportunity to salvage his career. And so, but at that time, we kind of cut him off. You know what I'm saying? Driver said there's nothing we could do with him. I said, I agree. I said, you know, I let you guys run this investigation independently, but report to me. And then I can submit it to the higher authority, which is what I did. I submitted everything to the higher authority. Bam. This is what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? This is why this decision had to be made. And at that time, I think I was in the 2 or 3 months in the holding position here, and everything was fucking locked. I said, I go, let me see which one of you guys is more capable or qualified to hold this position. They go, nah, Flax. He goes, you've done everything you were supposed to. Chuco told me that. He goes, man, I used to use Chuco as a cross-reference as far as everything I was doing. I would show him what I was doing, and he would offer any input. And not one time did he really go against anything that I said. And he also had a line to Peanut at the time, Charlie Oaks. So we were communicating with other C's at that time. The one thing there's a couple things that happened there. I'll discuss some other things that were going on. Like some people were trying to infringe upon recruiting people to establish regiments that were from the county jail. And that was basically through Dancing Bear. And I had to fucking stop that there and say that it wasn't going to occur here. I wasn't going to let nobody have any type of influence or impact when it comes to that. Because I don't know. I only know what I've been told and who I'm in line with, which was the feds at that time. Anyways, so yeah, this is a true story, man. Fucking Ernesto Perry, Chino from Manteca. I can't say the dude's a punk in any way. The dude got hands. He can fight, man. And he's ready to get him busy with anybody. But you know, like I talked to some individual there, man. There were certain things that were going on between him and his lady. His lady, let's just say, didn't partake in the best activities out there for them to generate money, and it really used to fuck with his head and the dope and so forth, man. He had all his teeth missing and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, it was a easy decision though. You know what I'm saying? Because anytime your household is jeopardized or threatened by any individual, you do what you have to do to protect your household, and it doesn't matter what anybody else who likes them or whatnot. Like when those dudes all came. You know what I'm saying? To me, I took it at first that it was because they're from the valley, they're from the, you know, out that way, that they're hating because I'm from the Bay. Not too many people from the Bay come into this facility at that time because we used to go to Quinton. So therefore, not too many people come in that can pull rank or hold authority there. I was one of them that was able to do that. And I ended up getting to know those vatos, Travieso, Chuco, Grillo. Like I already knew Hoodlum. I was Hoodlum's maestro in Corcoran Shoe, and Hoodlum's a fucking real sharp fucking insoldado. That was actually his NT at that time in Corcoran. So there was people there that knew me and shit. So the one thing that was really questionable was the way that it had to be executed, because these youngsters they were going up against a grown man. You know what I'm saying? Then on top of it, I forgot to mention this. There's a BGF member. Now, you had that BGF, Kumi, Crips, and Bloods all in the yard together out there, right? And but he was an OG. He had, you know, Shorty Rollins, Sekou. So he wanted to get at me on a kite. So he ends up getting at me on a kite and says, you know, you jeopardized our people and woo, woo, woo. You put us in the fucking direct line of fire and all this shit, right? Why didn't you tell us what was going on? So fucking I wrote back and I said, bro, you need to pump your brakes, bro. I go, first and foremost, we don't even tell our own people when we're going to do a removal. So why the fuck am I going to tell you? And that's exactly how I told him. Because I was offended by the way he came at me. I don't give a fuck what organization you're part of. You're not going to come at me that way. And I said, you know, it's up to you to get your people in line, out there disciplined, following instructions and not being fucking snoring Seroquels on the fucking yard. Like, that's where I go, you have your fucking little, these dudes are fucking snoring Seroquels acting like a fucking J-Cat. Why don't you deal with them? I told him. And he just didn't say nothing afterwards. But look what happened. From there on out, they got in line with the program. You know what I'm saying? They weren't doing Seroquels. They had their own attention. They were fucking basically in a lightweight formation to the side. And you know, sometimes you got to set that standard for people. Jesse Turner actually got at me. And I was like, hey, are you all right? Because I got at them. I said, look, bro, I said, there's more to what we did. It's our personal business. I go, but I'm going to let you know that part of the decision that was made by the authorities here, not breaching my security, was based upon how he's disrespected another race. We're not going to tolerate that from any of us, because we're not going to tolerate anybody disrespecting us. And this is right before the Wolfpack issues happened. You know, this is right before he left the shoe. But I got at him directly, you know what I'm saying, and said, you know, his actions are his actions. They're not a reflection of our household, because we won't tolerate that from our own, and we're not going to tolerate that from you guys either. So therefore, the boundary is kind of established. Because it's really easy to get fucking in conflict over there in Tracy. There was more shit going on in Tracy than I've seen in any other facility. As far as reception side, I've been to San Quentin several times. I've never seen anything like I've seen this over here, man. It's like, it took a while, but within, I think, 4 weeks or 6 weeks, I had the whole prison pretty operated, man. Secure the whole, but by then though, we set it off, bro. I ordered like 2-3 removals, and then I ordered the Wolfpack issue. I said, do this, and then I want these people, and I had everything in line in accordance to how it had to be. Everything operated smoothly. My protege at that time, that I was going to leave the authority to, was Travieso from Modesto. So I was kind of schooling him as far as what he was going to need to do and what I had been doing. So I was keeping him in the loop, man. But yeah, this is my experience, man. Can't say nothing negative about this individual, Chino from Manteca. You know, he was a soldier. You know what I'm saying? He was with the business. He'd been out there, schooled by Tibbs. Like I said, Copas, Chewy from San Fran. Was well educated. But the mental side, man, this heart program, he was kept on telling everybody that the heart program was playing low radio frequency waves to play with his fucking head. And I heard him do little shit before in the cell, but I was like, did I just catch that? You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't. And then that day on the yard when he was walking around, man, and he had that stupid fucking look, like, and they were fucking throwing fucking shit out the window, and he was licking it, and then he started arguing with the fucking the first tier PCs. I was like, man, dude, this is not a good example, because we had a lot of young soldados on that yard that never been anywhere. That, you know what I mean, that were getting educated, that they were getting schooling for the very first time. You know, we got to set a better example for people than what's being shown, man. So anyways, man, this is one interesting removal. Like I said, I've discussed it briefly before, but I'm going to go back over a lot of things that I've briefly discussed, real concise. I'm going to give you more of an elaborate breakdown, how things went about it, man. You know, he was awarded his due process. The removal, it had to go down fast. And because he was basically threatening others and even threatening the household. So sometimes you ain't got no time to fucking get a report. You know what, fuck you. If you're not going to get right, you're going to get removed. Anyways, this is what goes down in prison. You never know what can occur. You just got to make your sound decisions, man. Hopefully none of you guys go to prison, man. I posted a couple videos this morning about, you know, the solutions and stuff to prevent that, man. I mean, these are real stories. This is what happens, man. I mean, prison, you can never predict what's going to occur, man. Sometimes you just go with the flow and see what happens, man. You know, and as one who did a lot of time, man, I've experienced every type of scenario you could think of possibly, man. There's not one situation that you cannot think of that I didn't experience, whether it be something politically, a riot, a stabbing, you know what I'm saying? The only thing I never had happen to me is I never had any type of, I've never been removed by my own kind, because I never went S&Y, okay? I never got hit with a piece by no opposition. I've been involved in some situations where we had some pieces with the opposition, and I don't really want to discuss those because they got kind of a little grimy, you know what I mean? But other than that, every type of scenario I was involved in, every type of possible situation I seen, you know, and it's a trying time. It's not as easy as people perceive it to be. You know what I'm saying? You just got to do the best of your abilities while you're there. And so that's why I try to tell people that, look, if you want to live a righteous life and not be dictated by other men, whether it be the correctional officers or your own people, don't go to prison. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be wholeheartedly a gangster for the rest of your life, then go fucking full force. But if you have some reservations about your life and future, make that change now. And if you get out and have that opportunity, make that change when you get out, man. You know what I mean? I get it. Anyways, I'm rambling on. It's your boy Flacco. I'm out.